St. Petersburg, Russia, the window to the West, the cultural epicenter of Northern Europe, and home to some of the most talented hockey players in the world. Russia itself is a hockey-crazed nation, one of the few countries in Europe where soccer isn't completely alone at the top of the popularity lists. But as with other sports, women's hockey faces an uphill battle when it comes to gaining recognition from fans and media alike, in spite of the exceptional quality of play in many leagues. Among those is the WHL, home to 7 Russian clubs and 1 Chinese, and considered to be one of the top women's hockey leagues in the world. Today we'll get a behind-the-scenes look at what it's like to play women's professional hockey in Russia and what it'll take to elevate the sport around the world. Welcome to episode 3 of Growing the Game, where each week I'll talk to an expert about developing a particular sport in a particular country. This week we have a very unique guest whose knowledge is not limited to just one country. So while the main subject is women's hockey in Russia, we'll also talk about the sport's growth in Canada as well as the United States. Our special guest is Hayley Williams, a decorated professional hockey player in Russia who was born and raised in the United States and also has experience playing professionally in Canada. She's also the founder of an organization called Hockey Worldwide, which we'll discuss a little bit later. Without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. Yeah, as I was saying, you have a really unique perspective on hockey for a variety of reasons. Obviously, growing up and playing college and professional hockey in America, playing professionally in Canada, and then also Russia. So, and I'm also really curious about this Hockey Worldwide organization you started. So I'll ask a couple questions about that too. But I'm just really excited to have this conversation and learn a little bit from you. So I really appreciate you, Hayley, taking the time to talk with me.
Yeah, well, I'm really excited to be here. I'm honored that you thought that I'd be a good person for your podcast.
Thank you. It was a no-brainer, really. So I guess we'll just go ahead and start with your background. So you're from the state of Illinois, correct?
Yes, from the south suburbs of Chicago.
Okay, I was just going to ask. So tell me a little bit about your hometown, the environment that you grew up in.
Well, I grew up like 30 miles south of Chicago, and it's kind of like big city life, even though I lived in a small town, but close to Chicago. So, all the things that you do in a big city, you can do that, near the city. But I don't know, growing up, I played a lot of sports. So that was pretty much my life: hockey, basketball, softball. And then I tried a few out: golf, even football, volleyball I played as well. But obviously I stuck with hockey throughout my entire life, but really my life was really revolving around playing sports. So
all sports. So did you come from like a sports crazy family, or was it just something that you were interested in?
Yeah, my parents are pretty athletic, both of them, but they didn't play sports in college or professionally, but they gave my brother and I the opportunity to try out whatever sports we wanted and do as much as we wanted. And I'm really thankful for that. Obviously, that's their time, money, energy, everything that they dedicated to us. So that was really awesome of them.
Right. That's interesting, because I wanted to ask, when was the first time that you were introduced to playing hockey, whether it be recreationally or in a league or in school? When was the first time you got on the ice?
Well, I started skating when I was 2. So
okay.
That was before I could remember. And I don't remember learning to skate or really learning to play hockey.
Wow.
Another thing, just an opportunity my parents gave us, and I fell in love. So here
I
am.
You started with skating, like figure skating type stuff, or?
Yeah, for the first 2 years, it would have been just learning to skate, and my parents put my brother and I both in the first stages of figure skating just to learn to skate. And then my brother wanted to play hockey. He's a year older than me.
Okay.
And then I saw him play, and I just wanted to play hockey. My mom was a little bit disappointed. She wanted a little figure skater and a hockey player, but now she's not disappointed. She's proud.
Yeah, of course. I'm from Austin, Texas, and growing up, I never had a single friend who played or even watched hockey. There's no ice rinks anywhere. It was just not something that was present. So I've always been curious, like how far north you have to go before hockey starts to get kind of woven into the community. So how big is hockey in a state like Illinois? I know you have one of the original 6 NHL franchises in the Chicago Blackhawks, but what's the youth participation like there?
I mean, I don't know statistically how many
Yeah.
youth participants, but it's a pretty popular sport, definitely. They have some top organizations for AAA, which is the most elite level that you can play,
Mm.
that are, they play, when they go to nationals, they're very competitive. They win a lot of national championships. The Chicago Mission specifically is who I'm talking about.
Okay.
So if you hear of a team from Canada, they'll say, oh, we're going to play the best team in Illinois, in Chicago, which is the Mission, who
Right.
I played for my last year as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a pretty big sport. It's pretty popular in the state of Illinois, in the Chicago area specifically.
Right, right. And so you said your mom wanted she wanted to have a hockey player and a figure skater. So did she do any skating or anything like that?
No, my mom and my dad, they both can't skate really. I don't know why they wanted that. They used to have season tickets for the Blackhawks
Okay.
for like 30 years, and they would do that together, and they love hockey, but I'm not sure. That's just
Yeah.
how it happened.
Yeah. So when you were first playing hockey and kind of falling in love with the game, did you have a lot of male and female friends who were playing hockey, or were you just by yourself and it was a bunch of guys, or like how did that all play out?
Yeah, so I played just locally in house league is what they call it, house league. So it's
Okay.
just between the teams in that rink, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
for my first 5 years of playing, from 4 to 9.
Mm-hmm.
And I was pretty much the only girl. Maybe there was one or two other girls
Mm-hmm.
every now and then, every year or so, maybe one or two others. But yeah, I was pretty much, you know, filled with an environment of boys, and
Right.
um, being the only girl, and the boys don't want to lose to the girls. I don't really remember back then, I don't
Right.
really remember, but I remember excelling, at that
Right.
age, and it wasn't like, oh, that girl is horrible, she needs to go play figure, she needs to
Right.
go play, I don't know,
Yeah.
speed walking or something.
Right.
But yeah, so I excelled, and then I moved to girls hockey at 9, and started playing AAA then.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So what was the reason that you kind of fell in love with the game? Was it like you just picked it up and you just were really good at it, or you just liked the game itself? Like or was it maybe a combination of both?
Yeah, I think, if you're good at something, you probably enjoy it more.
Mhm.
And I'm sure that had a big effect on my passion and my desire to progress and become better at the game. And I don't know, I can't really say that I'm a hockey fan. I don't know if that's because I'm always playing the game and I don't have time to watch, but
Right.
like people are like, oh, did you see that new player from the Hawks? I'm like, yeah, no, yeah, I saw him. No, I know. But I'm not like ashamed of the fact that I don't watch. I have watched no games of the playoffs that are
Mhm.
going on right now.
Right. Right.
Maybe I shouldn't admit that, but I love the game. I love the game. I can't say that I am a fanatic to
Right.
watch, but I don't know. Maybe that's just me, or maybe that's my lifestyle because of the same seasons. I don't really know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So walk me through. So you started playing at age 9 in in the AAA league, right? So from there, you kind of worked your way onto a high school. Do you have high school teams up there in Illinois?
Yeah, there's high school teams, but it's not it's not the same elite level for girls as it is as AAA. So AAA is the highest level that you can go.
Okay.
You can play high school if you want, but the goal would be to play AAA if you want to go.
Interesting.
Further. Yeah.
Yeah. So you kind of, I guess colleges recruit maybe through that AAA organization, like they'll come to AAA games and then that's when they kind of recognize some of the talent.
Yeah. So that is, if you want to get exposed to NCAA, if you're not playing AAA, then in Canada it would be AA. That's the highest level for girls. But if you're not playing AAA, then you have to kind of do more yourself, like kind of really contact the schools, and you still need to do that, of course, when you're playing AAA. But
Right.
they go themselves; they'll go recruit at tournaments and stuff like that.
Okay, gotcha. And so when was the first time you kind of heard maybe some schools might be interested in bringing you on?
Well, the rule back then when I was being recruited. They couldn't contact you until I think it was July 1st, going into your junior year.
Okay.
So then that day was when schools could call me and we could have the conversation. So it was about just before my junior year was when I started having conversations with schools.
And you ended up playing at 2 different universities?
Well, I ended up playing at 3 different universities.
3, okay.
And, that wasn't planned, but that's just how it happened. And so I did end up playing NCAA D1 for a short period of time. I didn't really excel academically while I was there. Just lack of commitment to my schooling and more, just so I'm first year of away from my family, 12 hours away, and I'm I'm an 18-year-old freshman and I don't know what to do.
Right.
Then it took me a little while to figure it out, and I ended up going back home to Chicago, and I didn't know that I was going to play hockey again. I didn't play for 3 years, and I ended up starting to play at Robert Morris University in Chicago. Kind of just stumbled upon it, and then I transferred because I didn't know of the ACHA league. This is a different collegiate league, not the NCAA. I didn't know about it, and then I found out about it, started playing at Robert Morris because it was just like the first quickest opportunity that I had. Right. Did my research a little bit, transferred to Miami University of Ohio for my next year. And then I still had another year of eligibility, but then the NWHL started that next year, and I ended up getting a spot in Buffalo. So I finished my last year of college kind of abroad and went to play in the NWHL. How were you able to join that league? Like, was there a draft, or did they just kind of talk? There were tryouts. I don't think the first year that they did it, there was a draft. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure there wasn't a draft. They had tryouts for each team. I ended up I posted an Instagram video. I was just stick handling on my little porch there at Miami in Ohio, and they commented on it or something, and I just was like, how do I try out? And put my email address on there, and they sent me tryout info. Yeah, Instagram's crazy. That's amazing. Yeah. It really gives you some opportunities, seriously. Yeah, no kidding. Okay, so you played how long in Buffalo? Just a year. 1 year, and then that's when you switched to Canada? Yes. I just thought that there was a better opportunity there in Brampton, and because I had conversations with their coach there and just decided to go up to Canada. Right. So when you were playing in Buffalo, what was the attendance like? What was the competition like? So it was awesome. Our first home game, I'm pretty sure we sold out the whole bowl. Well, I guess it's not really a bowl. It's got seating on one side and the other at the Harbor Center in Buffalo. Okay. So I'm not sure how many that seats, maybe 1,200. And I think it was sold out, if I can remember correctly. It's already so long ago. It's crazy how fast time flies. But so it was really awesome attendance. It was a really awesome atmosphere to begin. And then, kind of the hype kind of died down a little bit. The attendance was a little bit less. And I think that that's a problem with women's hockey everywhere, and still is, that, the attendance or maybe the interest in watching it is not there until somebody watches it, so that's like, oh, wow. Like, I didn't realize that this is what we could watch, and but yeah, so it was a great atmosphere. It was a great environment to play. I enjoyed it. That is very professional, and yeah, so that was good. So when you switched to start playing in Canada, did you notice a discernible difference in the community support for the women's league? I think it was pretty equal. Okay. Yeah. But the thing about it was the CWHL was already league for however many years, maybe 7 or 8 years before I started playing there. So you'd think that maybe it would be already built up more, but I really didn't even know about the CWHL, even I think until I started playing for the NWHL. I don't know. So it's I wish I could remember better for you to give you a more specific timeline, but so it was just pretty much the same. But the people that are interested in it and the people that are fans, they're really fans. They're like really, really fans, and they're awesome, and they're so supportive, and it's really more, quantity, not quality. Right. No, quality not quantity. Yeah. Sorry. I'm mixing up my words. Quality, not quantity. But like, seriously, when people are fans, they're diehards, and it's really awesome support. So yeah. And because obviously Canada as a country is just, they care, more about hockey
than America. Not that America doesn't care, but it's just higher on the pecking order. Everyone knows that. Yeah, I was just curious about, would there also be more support for the women's league in a country like Canada where they're just, crazed about hockey in general?
Well, I mean, there's times like during playoffs and stuff like that, you'd see the attendance rise a little bit more.
Right.
But no, I mean, not really. So that's kind of like a fight that we're all fighting for women's hockey around the world. And I mean, you're interested or you're not interested. You want to watch or you don't. We can't like drag you to the rink, but it is good. It's a good product to watch. It's fun. It's Absolutely. Fast. It's skilled.
Right.
But,
right.
People have been men's hockey fans forever and ever, and they have this predetermined mentality about women's hockey that it's not going to be that good. Oh, women's hockey, they can't play. But
right.
when people watch it and then they really, like, even men who are so prideful, they're like, oh wow, like I really didn't know that could happen. And maybe they don't even want to say it after they watch. Right. It's just, oh no, that would be good, but it really is. It's good hockey.
In the US or in Canada, were your league games ever televised? Was there any streaming available for fans, or was it all you got to come in person?
Yeah, so every now and then you'd have national televised games, like for instance in Canada would be on TSN. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can't remember which partner they partnered with in America, but it wasn't every game.
Right.
Now with the NWHL they have all their games streamed on a platform called Twitch.
Okay, yeah.
Which is, you can watch it online.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's growth for sure. Mm-hmm. At that point, not every single game you could watch, but
yeah.
Now you can.
Now you can. Yeah, that's a pretty big step. So how long did you stay in Canada?
I played for Brampton my first year in the CWHL, and then they ended up moving to Markham, which mm-hmm. is, I was still commuting from Buffalo, so I wasn't from Buffalo to Markham when I was already commuting to Brampton, which was like crazy. Wow. So I asked for a trade to Toronto. So I ended up playing for Toronto the next year so I could still commute from Buffalo to Toronto. Mm-hmm. And then after my year in Toronto was when I got the offer to come play in Russia, which mm-hmm. was 2018. 2018.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so you initially didn't have a whole lot of interest in playing in Russia, or was it something that was like, get me over there now?
No, well, first of all, I didn't even know there was a league here for women.
Okay.
And the other thing, like I said, Instagram is crazy because my friend who I played with in Buffalo, she just posted on Instagram, an Instagram story, who wants to go play over in Europe? And I didn't even want to go play. I was just interested in what she was doing. So I just was like, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh my gosh, you'd be perfect. And then literally the next day I had an offer in my email, like a contract, literally from the team I still play for. Mm-hmm. And I looked at it, I'm like, no way. Like, there's no way. I've never even heard of this, never heard of this league, never heard of this team. There's got to be something wrong with this because it was such a good compensation package.
Really?
I didn't know about it. Yeah, and I was just like, oh. So then I told my parents, and my mom's like, you got to do it. And my dad's like, I don't know, I want to watch you play. My dad would commute also. He'd go to every single game from Chicago to Buffalo to Brampton to Toronto. That's awesome. So he was a little bit sad when I decided to go to Russia because he can't really just come back and forth. But so then I decided in like 4 days to come to Russia. Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty big step.
Yeah,
and I'm still here going into my third season with the same team. So
yeah, that's amazing. So, and you may not have the answer for this, but I'm curious if you have any like suspicions about why was the Russian team able to provide a more like competent compensation package?
Yeah, so I really didn't understand either, and I didn't understand the importance to them for a foreigner, for an import. I didn't really understand that concept, and when I came over, I didn't realize that it was just me and my friend who I played with in Buffalo that had that offer. So they offer their imports a lot more money.
Right.
I'm not sure why, really. It's kind of unfair, But and I'm not sure where they get the money. I'm not sure what the incentive is for people to sponsor the teams here, because it's even less viewership here, even though they do stream all of our games here on YouTube. So you can actually watch every single game live, archived, every single team throughout the season. So that is something that they do. But I don't really know. But so same thing with like the other leagues in Europe, they'll do the same thing with imports. So they give them a much higher offer than the citizens of the country.
Wow. So
that's how they work.
Are there limited roster spots for foreigners? Like you only have two on a team or something like that?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, two per team. Except for the Chinese team, once the CWHL folded, they came to our league. So they're like 15 on the team is North American. But
What?
yeah, so they're the exception to all the rules. Yeah.
Wow.
So they have like 5 Chinese nationality,
Uh-huh.
and then like the rest are North American.
Really interesting. And so they travel to Russia for all those games.
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's pretty crazy travel for them. And
Yeah.
we'll go to China once for the year, but
Right.
still that's one time only, and they're going for half their games.
Wow.
But
So
now since the virus, they'll be in the Moscow region for at least the first part of the season.
okay, I gotcha. Yeah, and I was really curious about like how is everything, I guess that has to come up in every conversation. Is this the coronavirus? Like how has that affected league operations for you in what you're doing?
Well, for me personally, I've just been in Russia the whole time because of the virus.
Mhm.
But that's another conversation. That's a side note. But for the league, it seems like nothing is affected, even though our game maybe should have started around the 9th or the 10th of
Mhm.
September. They're starting the 19th or the 20th around that time.
Mhm.
So 10 days later, all of the teams have started training together except for the Chinese team.
Mhm.
Uh, this is Vanky Rays. That's the name of their team. I just didn't
Okay.
know if you knew. So Vanky Rays, they haven't come together yet. They have some visa things to work through because the Russian borders aren't open yet.
Mhm.
So nobody can come into Russia if they're not a citizen of Russia,
Okay.
um, or a permanent resident, or holding a highly qualified specialist visa. So they're
Wow.
trying to get those visas for the whole team so that they can come in.
Mhm.
And then our team hasn't started training yet either, which usually will start around mid-July.
Mhm.
So we should have started training a month and a half ago together, but
Right.
apparently there's some coronavirus delays.
Okay, I gotcha. You mentioned that the Chinese team has 15 or so North American players. Is the North American region like clearly the top producer of talent for women's hockey?
Well, yeah. So Vanke joined our league last season. They won the championship.
Okay.
And that was the same when they were in the CWHL. They
Hmm.
also won once, took second once, I'm pretty sure.
Hmm.
But also those girls in CWHL, they're all North American too. But good talent there in China on that team.
Really?
Yeah. So
Okay. Yeah.
our first game against them this year, we lost like, I don't know, 10-1, I
Oh,
think.
wow.
Yeah. And that's a really super high score for hockey.
Yeah.
Super
Oh,
high.
yeah. So do they also just have more money, like that organization? Do they just have more funding?
Yeah, so um, I'm under the impression that the Chinese government really wants to grow women's hockey in China and hockey in general. So the
Okay.
government is really sponsoring their team and trying to grow it. And they
Right.
have a ton of fans there. And their home rink, their hometown would be
Mhm.
Shenzhen.
Okay.
And they fill their stadium. They have
Wow.
a ton of fans. Yeah.
And
So in
so
it,
you've played in that stadium, right?
mhm, right.
So yeah, what was that atmosphere like?
Great. It was great. Actually, where did we play last year? We didn't play in Shenzhen. They had some construction going on last year, so
Okay.
we played somewhere else that I can't remember right now. Why can't I remember where we were? Somewhere in China. But when
Yeah.
I was playing for the Canadian League, we played in Shenzhen, and there were seriously so many people there, and it was awesome. It was very professional.
Yeah.
Um, well, their announcers were speaking in Chinese, speaking
Mhm.
in English, so it was
Oh wow.
very, you know, it was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, really awesome. So they really put on a good professional show for even if they don't really care about hockey, they come support the girls.
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Interesting. You've lived in Russia for almost 3 years now, going on
2 years now. So
2 years.
yeah, so
Okay.
going into my third season. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what have you seen in terms of initiatives for growing the sport of women's hockey? Because Russia men's hockey is pretty big as it is. Um, have you seen any efforts to grow their hockey for the women's side?
Well, the KHL owns our league. So the
Okay.
KHL is the second league in the world besides the NHL
Right.
for the men. So that's something. That's already something. But
Mhm.
other than when they're putting, like for the All-Star game, for example, that's
Mhm.
put on by the KHL. So that's super duper professional. They treat us very much like professional athletes, and
Mhm.
and we're already treated like professional athletes. This is our job, to play hockey,
Mhm.
right? So we don't have other jobs.
Really? Okay.
We live, they provide our housing, they provide our food.
Wow.
And, so that's already something that's
Mhm.
different than North America. And I'm
Right.
not saying anything bad about North America. I'm just saying that that's just a difference.
Yeah, yeah.
But when it comes to incentives, initiatives, I think it's the same thing. When you're trying to grow the game, it's just there's not that much interest in watching the women's game,
Mhm.
but then you have your diehard fans, just like North America.
Right.
So it's about media. There's got to be media who wants to jump on the bandwagon, and there's got to be money put into it, or else it's
Yeah.
not going to grow. But yeah, so it's pretty similar when it comes to viewership and stuff like that.
Right, right. Now, where does Russia stand in terms of their national women's team talent level? Like, are they among the top countries in terms of their national women's team?
So America and Canada would be the top two. They
Okay.
always have been.
Okay.
The next one who's creeping up on them is Finland. So
Okay.
Finland pretty much won the world championship 2 years ago, but then the ref called the goal off.
Oh, wow.
And then the U.S. won. Four nations. Maybe that's 4 nations. Okay, anyways, that's not important. But Finland's pretty close to getting there for those top. They're definitely the top 3, and then Russia, I would say, is right there behind Finland. But there's still a pretty big gap.
Okay, so the big gap is between America and Canada, and then everyone else, or is it?
Yeah, America and Canada, they're pretty hand in hand. But then Finland's creeping up. They're progressing each year, so that's good news. That's good that they're consistent. But then, from there, it's like, okay, there's still got to be work. There's still work to be done with the other teams or the other countries, I guess.
Right. Yeah, I wanted to ask about that because, like you mentioned, in Russia, it's different than other countries, especially like North America, where for women's sports, a lot of those athletes do need multiple jobs. So they've provided housing for you. So what's that been like? Just like being able to focus solely on hockey, although you do have your business on the side as well, but like for the league itself to not have 99% of its players working multiple jobs, and how has that translated into quality of play and competition?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's we're on the ice 6 days a week.
Wow.
Whether it's because we have games that week or if we have practice 6 days a week, 1 day off. That's usually how it goes. I mean, the difference that I felt from working multiple jobs plus playing hockey in North America to coming here and being able to have a full night's sleep, and being able to recover and actually just focus on the sport and focus on becoming a better player, it's huge. It's literally, if you are a professional athlete, that's what you need to be able to focus on, right? And because you're training how many hours a day? 3 or 4 hours a day, really intense workouts that's on the ice and in the gym, and you need to be able to recover. That's something that's actually part of being a professional athlete. You need to be able to recover. And if you're going to work for now 6-8 hours after that or before practice, in fact, because everybody practices at night, late at night there because of work, then you're not going to be able to be at your peak performance. And I have more time now, and that's why I was able to start my business. And I don't feel like I feel free. I feel so free. Like I feel like my friend the other day just asked me that. He was like, do you like, can you tell me, like, with everything that you do in your life, do you feel free? And I was like, I feel like the most freedom like ever in my life. Like I do so many things, but I do it because I want to. And the only thing that I have like a real schedule is when we have to go to practice and we have to go to our games. And I want to do that, Exactly. I'm not doing it because I need to go get money. Like I'm doing it because that's what I want to do. So I feel like, wow, like this is everything that I ever wanted.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Is that model something that could be replicated in North America, or what would some of the barriers be for that? Is it just that in Russia there's better sponsors, or how would that work?
Well, like I said, my salary is more than the girls that are from Russia, the Russian girls. But even just being able to play hockey as my professional full-time job and having my housing and my food paid for, even if my salary wasn't what it was, then I would be happy. Like I would feel like, okay, great. Like I don't have to worry about paying my rent. So I don't have to make another extra $1,000 a month on top of hockey. Right. And they're going to feed me. So I'm going to eat, so I don't need to pay rent and I don't need to buy my food. So what else do I need to pay for? Besides, like, people have student loans, bills, whatever, car payment, but that's also something that can be figured out. That's much less than paying rent and buying your food.
Absolutely.
So I think even just if it was not as high of a salary, but they provided housing and provided meals, then I feel like that would be a huge, huge step.
Do you think that they're capable of doing that because of sponsorship? Like, where is that money coming from to be able to provide that housing and food costs?
So, for example, my team is sponsored by a university here in St. Petersburg. So maybe they can find some partnerships through universities. I don't know, maybe. But and then there's also teams that are sponsored by their KHL team.
Oh wow.
So that's another thing. So I mean, I don't know if that would be such a hard ask to just find a dormitory on campus and have the athletes live there. Like one that's like a little studio apartment for everybody. I don't know. That's just something. But maybe that's not enough for somebody who wants to live more professional athlete. I don't want to live in a dorm at 30 years old. But I do. I live in a dorm at 30 years old, and I'm happy. Like, that's what they provided us. That's where I live for free. So, of course, I'm going to take it. Thank you. So I think that would be a good idea to maybe try to partner with the university, partner with the same city's NHL team or somebody there that wants to buy into the league or buy into the women's game.
So how much of the pressure of growing the popularity of women's hockey falls on the players instead of maybe because you mentioned like the media plays a big role in that, obviously, and not being able to show as many games or things like that. So how much of that falls on the player to actually grow the sport itself?
I feel like we should all be ambassadors for the game for sure. And I feel like if we all did that together, it would help. For example, in our contract, it says if somebody from the media wants to interview you, if somebody wants to do something, then you have to say yes. You can't say no. And that's not why I said yes. No. That was that's not that. I always, I'm always up for the task, for the interview. I like it. But I think that's a good thing and that's also, so our contracts are standard KHL contracts. So that's actually in their contract as well for KHL. But in North America, I feel like if somebody gives you the opportunity to speak about your platform and give you a platform to speak on, like you are giving me, then why wouldn't we want to do that? Why wouldn't we want to try to grow the game? And we have to try to grow the game. I'm in Russia, so the North American hockey world is not, I'm kind of on the outside of it right now, but there's kind of like some conflict there right now. And I feel like it could be better if people came together and didn't fight each other about it. I don't know if you know about it at all, but that's also just another side note.
Well, so is there any leadership among the players who kind of make that a priority, or are there just too many other things that you'll have to worry about to focus on, such big picture things like growing the game?
I don't think that anybody really comes to mind that's really just stepping up and saying we need to grow the game. Not here in Russia, but that is a really big focus in North America, and there's a lot of people that are trying to do that. But like I said, it's a little bit conflicting because there's two sides of the story. How are we going to grow the game? And so these people are saying we need to grow it this way. These people are saying we need to grow it this way, and that just makes it not grow. Because now we're just fighting each other.
So hockey worldwide. My first question is, does the worldwide element come from the coaching staff? Because I noticed you have some coaches from America, Canada, and Russia on there. Or is it more about like your target audience, like we're trying to train people all over the world?
Well, good question. Actually, both. I didn't have the idea to start. I've always wanted to start my own hockey development company, but I didn't actually start it until I came to Russia. And so the name kind of came out of that because I have played in America professionally, Canada, and Russia now. So it's kind of worldwide for me personally. And yeah, so now my focus is to be able to have this be for development worldwide, but also bring in coaches from worldwide so that whoever is learning from us can have all these different perspectives and different ways to learn the game and learn about life, really learn about different cultures and stuff like that, and just grow as a person and not just a hockey player.
Right. Interesting. So it's not just like a like individual training or camps. Like I know you do some events and stuff, but there's also like a bigger mission behind it in terms of even growing the game and developing the sport.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So we just started in the past year. So starting with on ice camps and clinics, and starting with online training because of the virus, we are continuing to do online training and stuff like that. So it is very hockey development based right now, but that's not the whole core of it. Okay. Like hockey has given me my life. Like I play hockey, it's my profession, but I've learned so much more about life through this journey that's really where I want this to go. Sure, anybody can start a hockey development company and teach the kids on the ice. Anybody can do that. But how can we really teach the kids about life through the sport is what I really want to get into. In the near future, there's more to come.
Yeah. And so is that something that you see is kind of lacking perhaps in other similar kinds of organizations where they're just kind of like, no, hockey is the only thing that matters and that's your ticket and, all that kind of stuff? Because you see that with other sports. So I wasn't sure, is that something that you've also seen firsthand with hockey?
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton, there's countless hockey schools that are teaching kids how to play hockey. That's great. That's awesome. I'm doing the same thing. I'm doing strength and conditioning through it. I'm doing everything that is my passion, but it's not life. It is life, but it's not. We need to learn about life, and we need to be able, and if this is our way to be able to do it and to be able to find a mentor like myself through somebody who's a 14-year-old girl that's now going into high school, and now they have all these different things. They're not just on the ice all day long, that they have somebody to talk to. They have somebody to learn from in the sense of life, then that's the bigger picture that really needs to be to be able to be put in front of somebody to have that opportunity to take it if they want it. Right.
So you mentioned mentorship. So say you have a player who, participates in some of your skills or some camp or training or anything like that. So where does the mentorship, is once they sign up, is that like a lifetime, like you can come to me, here's my number, I can provide guidance, or is it just like at the camp you're focusing on mentoring them there?
No, so all of my players that I work with, they all have my phone number, they all have my email address. A lot of them have my Instagram, Facebook, everything. I'm so connected to them, and they know that I'm just there for them if they need me. It's not every day that they will contact me and say, Coach Hayley, can you help me? That's not it, but they know that I'm there, and they know it because I tell them. I'm not like, okay, the only time that you can talk to me is if you email me Monday morning at 9 a.m. Like, no, you can, I'm here for you. And I know sometimes you can't talk to your parents about something or something like that. And I just want them to know that there is somebody else that they can talk to, and somebody else who's gone through a lot in my own experience. And a lot was my own, it was my own journey that I went through that got me here. So it's not like I had the perfect cookie cutter journey of life, so I have the experience to be able to say, I've had the same kind of situation, and this is how I've dealt with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess like long-term or big picture goals for your organization, what's kind of like the dream situation that it would turn into?
So for me personally, I like my lifestyle that I'm able to travel the world, and I don't really want to be stuck in one place because of my job. And so while I do enjoy going, so this past summer I should have been in Canada for a while for doing camps in Buffalo and Chicago, but like I said, the virus kind of changed that. But what I look forward to doing soon enough within this year, I will probably make a course that's well, I don't want to get into too much detail, but I am going to be making a course that, like I said, it's going to be for hockey players, but it's going to be for hockey players and for life. So like I said, anybody can do a hockey development business and teach kids how to play hockey, but I want it to be more than that. I want it to be, somebody meets me when they're 10 years old and I'm still working with them when they're 25 years old because I'm their person.
Right.
And not just me, but people in my organization, and so that we can, hire leaders to be there with us, and we can have these people know that this is where we are going to go, and this is how our kids are going to find success in hockey and in life.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's a very noble aim, I think. So that's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you again so much, Hayley, for your time. This was really enlightening. And I'm really excited to see and follow. Hopefully I can maybe watch a couple games on YouTube since they're broadcasting that. Yeah, Hockey Worldwide. I'm really excited to see where that goes. So again, thanks so much for your time.